Hi, this is Gary Auden. I'm bringing you an EDUcast today, 6 contact center best practices, and with me is Eng House Interactive, and I'm from Telecom Reseller. With me today is John Cray, Vice President of Product Management for Eng House Interactive. And we're going to be talking more about the contact center from less a technical viewpoint, but just how you make the contact center run a lot better, both for the customer and for the agents that are a part of the contact center. So we divided the presentation today into 6 parts. The role of the contact center. We're going to go through individual best practices, 6 of them in total. What's the value of doing these best practices? We'll bring up as we talk. Dealing with customer agent interaction, measuring this stuff. And at the end, there's a white paper that we're going to talk about that relates to contact center best practices. So I want you to stay to the end for our resources. So let's start off with our first best practice. And this is the one that I think is a great place to start, John, is how do we ensure that the contact center differentiates among customers? Because not everybody's the same.
Well, that's right, Gary. Hi, everybody. This is John. So I wanted to thank you all for listening in today. Appreciate that. We always like to start these kinds of discussions with the customer because it really is about quality of customer communications. So the first thing is, who is that customer? And a key part of that is identifying who the customer is right from the get-go. If it's a voice conversation, you might be able to do that from caller ID or from some prompt in an IVR. If it's an email, you might be able to do it from their from address. If it's a web chat, maybe they logged into your website or they filled out a form. If it's a text message coming from a mobile device, maybe you know their cell phone number, and so on and so on. There's always a way to identify who they are. And once you identify who they are, you can prioritize them according to the value to your business. The airlines do it, the hotels do it, you can do it too. And then give them that personalized interaction. Make sure you know the last time they spoke to you, who they spoke to. Give them that context. In this case, we're seeing the agent calling the customer by name, knowing exactly when the last time they had an interaction with the customer, and knowing the context of what the customer is requesting. Put all those things together, and you have a great prioritized, personalized interaction with that customer.
Now that brings up a point. You use the word proactive, and the point on this slide is don't wait. Well, what do you recommend for being proactive with a customer? Because most contact centers are reactive.
That's true. That's very true, Gary. So most customers wait for the customer to contact them. What we mean by proactive is if you know something that's beneficial to the customer, reach out without waiting. So a simple example would be in healthcare, you know about an appointment you need to remind them of. You can get it out to them in the form of a text message or an email or even an automated call, that plays a message to that customer. Do that because then if the customer wants to change something with a single click of a button, they can make the change, and give them that option to do that. There are other more subtle ways of being proactive, like if an issue that they've reported changes status, if you have a solution for them. If you know about an issue that may be beneficial to them to tell them about, like an automotive recall or, whatever it might be proactive and reach out. Do it in a way that blends that into the agents along with their inbound call flow, and you'll make the agent really productive while you're doing it.
But it seems to me that if we really talk about contact centers, one of my biggest complaints is it gets so complex dealing with a contact center. All right, so how do we keep ourselves from designing contact centers that are hard for the customer?
Yeah, and you saw the little joke there about the IVR, right? IVR menus can be horrible to wade through. So, how do you make it simple? Well, first, the biggest thing, survey after survey, the customers complain about is waiting on hold. They hate it. They hate being told they're going to wait 20 minutes before they get to a live person. So there are ways to eliminate that. You can offer a callback option where the customer can hang up, retain their position in queue, and get called back right at the appropriate time. You can offer them self-service options, so they go through the website and get basic information so they don't have to talk to a live person, and make it intuitive and easy to use. Give them a choice of interaction types. Again, email, chat, text message, Skyping in, whatever, callback like we've talked about, whatever it might be. Give them device choices. Let them connect with you on their mobile device through a visual IVR framework or whatever you choose to offer. That could be a mobile app, could be a mobile website, and keep them notified proactively, like we've talked about. These are all things that you can do to make communications effective, simple, and very pleasing to the customer.
A point that I find with a lot of sites, though, is I call in and I can't get it resolved on the first time around. So let's talk, and would you make some comments about first interaction resolution?
I think more and more this is becoming a priority for contact centers. They've been told by their customers, we don't want to have to talk to you 7 times before our issue gets resolved. So how do you make sure that you're optimizing first interaction resolution? The first thing is get it to the right person. You have people with different skill levels within your business, and if you get it to the person who's best qualified, maybe it's the person they talked to the last time that knows the context. Maybe it's the person with just the right skill to address the issue. And again, this is not about necessarily calling. This could be about emails or text messages or chats over the internet or faxes or whatever. Get it to the right person first. But that said, that person is not going to be able to address everything. So let them collaborate with the back office. Give them unified communication tools and collaboration tools to bring back office people into the conversation, to get their expertise involved. You know whether that back office person is available through presence. You have collaboration tools to bring them in, conferencing tools if they need to also speak to the customer. Get them involved, and you will really maximize this metric.
Well, that gets into somewhat of the question now. The agents as part of this conversation, and I really think this is important. What you said on this slide is the agent is the customer's ambassador. So how do we deal with this continuing news about satisfaction or dissatisfaction in the agent community?
I think this is where a lot of contact centers don't understand that your agent is your point of contact with that customer. There's been a lot of research. There's a quote from Richard Snow, who works for Ventana Research in the UK. Richard's analysis showed he basically surveyed tons of agents and supervisors and managers in contact centers, and he found that literally you could double the probability that customers will have a great experience if your agent is in turn satisfied and happy with the interaction. So you've got to be able to make your agents happy to get your customers happy.
But that brings up a point of keeping the agent happy. And what I've seen, you mentioned a rate here of 29% turnover. I've heard of other sites poorly managed that are 100% turnover in a year. So how do we deal with agent attrition?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that you really are losing a lot of money when your agents leave. There's a hiring cost to hire somebody new. There's retraining costs. It's extremely expensive. You got to look at the factors. And here's a survey done by the Contact Babel, who surveys contact center managers, where they found that the top reasons for agent attrition were the wrong type of person for the job or excessive pressure. So you've got to find a way to pull the pressure off and make agents feel empowered, happy, and like they've got the right tools, they've got the right information. You can turn that wrong type of person for the job into the right type of person for the job. Give them empowered ways of dealing with customers. Let them make choices in how they work with customers, and you will make agents happier. Make them happier, they're less likely to leave.
Well, that brings up a point of how do you make agents happier? What do they need?
Well, according to Aberdeen, a survey done last year, the number one thing was not compensation and benefits. It's not about paying agents more. That did appear on the list, as it always will when you're surveying people. But the top two things were first giving them the tools they need to conduct their tasks efficiently and proactively, as we've talked about. And the second thing, and this is a big one, I think, is giving the agents a feeling of empowerment, making them feel like I can actually communicate with the customer. I can adjust my conversation based on what I think is the right thing for this customer. When agents feel empowered, they feel like they're respected within the business. But the key to that empowerment is giving them the information they need and the choices they need to be able to make for that customer.
Well, that gets into sort of the combination of agent satisfaction equals customer satisfaction is what you're saying. Could you comment on the tools here?
That's right, Gary, exactly. So when we talk about that empowerment and we talk about the right tools, we talk about productivity. When the call or email or chat or text arrives at the agent desktop, let's screen pop that customer record. Let's get it right up, right in front of the agent so they can see who the customer is, previous interactions they've had, and what's going on with that customer at this moment. And then there comes in this whole thing about making agents feel empowered and coached and like they're getting better over time. So record their interactions with customers. Have their supervisors go over those recordings with them. Get evaluated. Have the supervisors use the best interactions with customers as templates to coach maybe new agents or less experienced agents on how to do better. And then put the agents together into teams and chart their progress as a team. Set goals for those teams. Maybe give awards. So the best team this week gets an award. It doesn't have to be a big thing because the recognition itself charges up the agents, makes them feel better about their work. So the idea is make this continuous. Continuously measure what's going on and continuously reward good behavior.
So just a side comment here, it seems what you're saying is you not only use this to improve things, you use this to motivate people as well.
It's all about motivation. You're absolutely right. And that gets back to the happy agent and the happy customer.
Let's talk about metrics for a minute because we hear lots of talk about tools out there to measure, but what do you mean when you say metrics? Why are they important?
Well, I think there's an evolution of the way contact centers and customer communications managers are measuring success. Traditionally it's sort of fallen in that little operational tier there at the left, where we measured things like talk time and handle time and volume and whether agents were logging in and logging out at the right time and all that sort of thing. But there's this evolution moving up and to the right here, where the metrics are becoming more and more about value, more and more about satisfaction of customers, more and more about that first contact or first interaction resolution, more and more about the customer. How much do they cost us? How much do they give us over time? What's their net promoter score? What's their value to our business in the long run? More and more, when it comes to customer communications and contact centers, we're seeing a movement up and to the right. And the reason, and that drives the behavior we've been talking about in the other best practices. If we identify customers, we know who they are, we know what their value is, we can drive how we behave when we communicate with them. And that's absolutely key to our success.
Now, it seems like this is not just a single item you're going to have to deal with. And I saw this next picture of yours about a layered concept here for doing all of this. Would you introduce us to this?
The natural question at this point is, how do I pull this off, right?
Yes.
And the first thing you need to do, right, is you need to build a framework that integrates all these forms of communication, channels as we call them, or media channels, into one engine so that I can blend these different interactions together out to agents, and I can measure in one single database how I'm doing from a performance perspective across all those channels. So voice, email, fax, chat, callback, SMS, texting, social media, even activities coming out of your CRM system can all be queued and routed together in a single framework. On top of that, we build the agent desktop environment, so it's one thing. It's not too complex for the agent to use. It rolls all this stuff together into one user interface, and then I can support for supervisors and managers, recording, quality monitoring, evaluation, and so on. I can report on these different performance metrics. I can show managers how things are going in real time so they can act and make adjustments. And then a layer on top of that is the device layer, where any of these applications, all of this information and data can be exposed on desktop devices, on using phone sets, on mobile devices such as smartphones and tablets. That allows supervisors and managers to be able to wander around with a mobile device but still manage things quite effectively. So you put all this together into one framework, it's extremely powerful.
I think you also have the word additive as an idea as well here.
Yeah, that's right. So, if you decide to tackle this one thing at a time, for example, I just add screen pop, and then I can see right away that I've made my agents more efficient, and they're also greeting customers by name and having that context, so my customer satisfaction is going up. Then I get the interaction to the right person through skills-based routing. Now the customer is more satisfied, and I'm saving money because the agent doesn't have to retransfer the call to someone else. Then I add self-service. Then I add proactivity and proactive notifications. Then I broaden my channels of communication to email and web and so on. Every one of these things adds efficiency and adds customer satisfaction. So you don't have to do everything all at once. Every new thing you add just makes you that much better in terms of being a great communicator with your customers.
What you've really said has been very valuable, but I'm sure some of the people are wondering, how is EDUcast qualified to be discussing this?
Right. So, the EDUcast organization has been around for over 30 years. We've been delivering customer communication solutions, contact center solutions for over 20. We've got over 10,000 customers. You might say we've kind of seen it all around the world. We're in many, many countries around the world. We're very profitable, very successful organization. We've got multiple divisions, but this division that we're talking from today is EDUcast Interactive. We specialize in this. So when we talk about best practices, these are the things that we've seen over the last 20 years, the things we've seen work very effectively for businesses that are trying to make their customer communications great.
One of the things I'd like to point out before we finish is this white paper, and I access it. It's a 16-page long paper, and it's well worth reading. And you can actually link on this from this page, or you can go direct to EDUcast. And John, do you think people will be getting this in their email later?
Yeah, we absolutely will. So anybody who is watching this and is registered to see this, we will proactively, again, proactive communications, send you out a copy of the white paper and reach out to you to make sure we see if we can help you.
Here's some basic contact information for EDUcast. And I'd like to thank you, John, for being with us today. And